Okay, so today's political video is about Republican hypocrites. Now, there was like the title suggests, there was an Alabama poll worker who lost his job. Now, I found out later that he is the Republican poll worker. Let's try that again. The poll worker was a Republican. There we go. And he, of course, was asking everyone for ID, as is Alabama state law. Well, the head of, I think, the state Republican Party, I think that's what it was. Let me double check. Let me see here. Where is it? Okay, state GOP chair. So he asked him and his family to show ID, as is state law. Okay, fine. The Republican and his family claimed that they didn't have to. He gave the excuse that they're Anabaptists, like Amish, Mennonites, Anabaptists, those things. Then they have a problem with taking photos, so they're exempt. My first question is, does Alabama law actually have that exemption? Because I get the feeling the answer is no. But he accepted. He asked if he has any type of ID. Now get this. The ID he did show was some state treasurer ID, and his picture was on it. So that was bullshit from the very beginning. But shortly after that, the poll worker lost his job. Now, they say he was fired, but I was confused because they said he's a volunteer poll worker. So that confuses me because volunteers can't be fired. I mean, they can be told, yeah, you're not working here anymore, but that's technically not firing because you don't technically work there because you're not being paid. Maybe these were paid volunteers. I didn't think those still existed, but maybe they do. So anyway, so here is this Republican asking another Republican to follow the rules, and said Republican does the one rule for thee and not for me. And yes, I did that backwards on purpose. That, yes, all the little people have to show ID, but because I'm a bigwig, because I'm the party chair, I don't have to. When are people going to wake up and realize that? Now, I'm talking the top Republicans, the higher level Republicans, not Joe Schmo on the street. Even though maybe they have this idea that they're going to gain power or something because they're with the right party or whatever. So it's possible, but I'm talking about the higher ups. They don't actually care about these laws. They feel that they're above the law. These laws are just meant to prevent people they don't like from voting. And that could be minorities. And that could just simply, it could mushroom into Democrats in general. The way things are going, I would not be surprised if that was their end game. But right now, it's just certain people that aren't them. And this is not the first example of Republican bigwigs flaunting laws. And I'm not saying Democrats don't do that either. The coronavirus pandemic proved that there were Democrats who had no problems making laws and then immediately breaking them themselves. So I'm not just picking on Republicans, but this particular instance, yeah, this is the law Republicans wanted. They wanted the voter ID law because they wanted to prevent voter fraud. And now here is this guy who's the state party chair who has decided that, yeah, it doesn't apply to him because of religious exemptions. And then he finally presents an ID with his picture on it, the very thing he claimed as to why he didn't have appropriate ID to begin with, which was that he just left his wallet at home. Which is, side rant, which is something I never understood. This was something I encountered a lot at the library. You needed to use ID. You needed to show ID to use the computers. You couldn't just sign up. You needed to show ID. Hell, you need to show your library card to check out a book. So you should have your ID with you, right? Nobody did. People would be like, oh, I left it in my... This was even worse than leaving it at home. Oh, I left it in my purse in the car. And considering the area I was working in, which was a high crime area, that was doubly confusing. It's like, why would you leave valuable things like your purse in your car? Unless you covered it up so nobody knew that your purse was in there, but still. Why bring your purse if you're not going to? I mean, I do the same thing. I take my purse with me, but I don't take it into when I used to go to football games or whatever, because it would just be a nuisance. So I would leave it in the car and I would cover it. However, this is a library where there are tables for you to put your purse on. You don't have to worry about putting your purse in goop. Same thing with voting. You know you need an ID to vote. This has been drilled into many places because many states have that law. Why leave your wallet at home when you know you need your ID? This is basically somebody who has decided that they're above the law and we will not be disenfranchised because we weren't the ones that we intended to disenfranchise. We want these people we don't like, the ones who are not going to vote for us. We don't want them being able to vote. We want them to have the burden of carrying their wallets with them with their IDs. We don't have to. And that's the message this sends. Because why else fire the poll worker? Obviously, the GOP chair had something to do with that. He probably complained because, God forbid, he follows the law, and this poor poll worker got sacked because of it. This is just frustrating. I'm fine with ID laws. I mean, I get it that there are people who have a hard time getting ID, so I definitely support it becoming easier to get IDs that are appropriate for voting. That's fine. Make it easier for them to get the voter IDs, but that they should have them. Okay, fine. I'm fine with that. This is not what the Republicans have been pushing, that voter fraud is this huge problem that needs to be dealt with voter IDs. It's entirely bullshit, but that's their reasoning. So they're basically going against their own reasoning, saying that now, oh no, we don't have to carry ID because some bullshit exemption, which you promptly showed is bullshit by showing an ID with your picture on it. So yeah, this poll worker ended up losing his job. Now, I appreciate that he wasn't bullied, that he wasn't threatened, like some of the poll workers that have gone in front of the January 6th committee have testified. But still, he shouldn't lose his job for following the law. Now if he said that it's a religious exemption, okay, that's fine. He didn't do that. My understanding is that the reason he insisted on him giving an ID despite him claiming an exemption is because he knows that he is active on social media and he's shown pictures of himself. So he knew that this was a bullshit excuse. It's not that he was belittling the excuse. So obviously he went up to whomever was running the polls and told them this bullshit story about how his poor little rights were being violated because of a religious exemption that shouldn't have applied to him to begin with. So either the person he complained to was unaware of his social media activity, or he just felt that, oh yes, you're the GOP chair, you can do whatever the hell you want. I don't know. I don't know if A, he's going to get his job back, or B, if he even wants to. Because, nothing says let's get rid of good poll workers than making their lives miserable. In his case, it's losing his job for doing his job properly. Because I would be with him. I'm not going to, oh, you're the GOP chair. Oh, so yeah, I'm not going to make you follow the rules. I don't care who you are. If there's a rule that you should follow, you're following the damn rule. I mean, it's really not that hard. So in that case, why would he want to volunteer to be a poll worker again? Same thing with those two women who testified in front of January 6th. I don't blame them for quitting and not wanting to do poll work again. They don't want to go through this hell of being threatened simply because they dared to be poll workers and shit was made up about them. I don't blame them one bit. So, anyway, I think that's all I have to say about that. But yeah, I hope Alabama voters remember this come midterms time. I don't know. Obviously, the GOP chair is not an elected position, so you can't deal with that. But the fact that he was allowed to do this, even though it's well known that he violates his own religious exemptions that he claims that should apply to him, should make people wonder what is the point of these laws if the GOP bigwigs can get away with it. So hopefully that is something that the Alabama voters remember in, what is it now, 50 days till midterms? So yeah, I think that's all I have for this video, and I will see you next time.